All right, join me on page 334 in the reading textbook. This short story is Fable. A fable is a brief story that teaches a moral, often through the actions of animals that act like people. Okay, and remember, moral is very closely related with theme. It's kind of what the main lesson or what the main thing we learn from the story. Literary elements. A moral is a lesson taught by a fable or story. It is usually stated outright at the end of the fable. So that's the main difference between a moral and a theme. A moral, the author explicitly tells you what the moral of the story is. When you're trying to find theme, it's usually a little more challenging because it's not obvious. The author doesn't necessarily just tell you. And then personification is a literary device where human characteristics are given to animals or things. So anytime you see animals talking in a story, that's an example of personification. All right, follow along. Again, we're on page 334 in the reading textbook.
A Fable by Aesop, retold by Jerry Pinkney. Introduction. The real Aesop was born a slave about the year 620 BC in the ancient Republic of Greece, where he was later granted freedom as a reward for his learning and wit. Though he died about 565 BC, for years his clever wisdom was passed down orally from generation to generation. Somewhere around 300 BC, about 200 stories were gathered into a collection called Assemblies of Aesopic Tales. No one knows how many of the narratives attributed to Aesop were actually composed by him. Interestingly, motifs from many of them occur in the storytelling traditions of a variety of cultures, proof of the universality of the themes and lessons of these tales.
Okay, next page, 335. Follow along.
The Crow and the Pitcher. For weeks and weeks there had been no rain. The streams and pools had dried to dust, and all of the animals were thirsty. Two crows, flying together in search of water, spotted a pitcher that had been left on a garden wall. They flew to it and saw that it was half full of water, but neither one could reach far enough inside the pitcher's narrow neck to get a drink. "There must be a way to get that water," said the first crow. "If we think it through, we'll find an answer." The second crow tried to push the pitcher over, straining with all of his might. But it was too heavy to budge. "It's hopeless," he croaked, and flew away to look for water elsewhere. But the first crow stayed by the pitcher and thought. And after a time, he had an idea. Picking up some small pebbles in his beak, he dropped them one by one into the pitcher, until at last the water rose to the brim. Then the clever bird happily quenched his thirst. Wisdom and patience succeed where force fails.
So this is the moral of the story. The crows speaking is an example of personification. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.